Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Taria Hodge of Mayaba Consulting Services, the host of Social Media Saturdays. And tonight, welcome to tonight's webinar. And we are talking. I am Taria Hodge of Mayaba Consulting Services, the host of Social Media Saturdays. And tonight, welcome to tonight's. Okay, so I guess that means that my feed is working. So I just had my browser open just to do a little test, just to make sure that everything is starting, on time, that you guys can see me, you can hear me. So welcome. Tonight we are talking about how to get cheaper Facebook ads, and we're discussing the topic of targeting. So I'm going to share with you 7 ways to optimize your targeting for your Facebook ads, which will result in you getting cheaper ad spend for your ads. Okay, so I just want to take a minute before we jump into tonight's presentation or tonight's webinar to make sure that I check my feed. Actually doing something a little bit different this evening. So normally when I do my webinars and my broadcast, I go live via Facebook. So tonight I am showing my YouTube audience some love. So I am going live via YouTube this evening, and I'm also sharing the YouTube link to my followers and my community, my social media superstars, on Facebook. So bear with me one moment. Okay, let me just make sure that I check the feed in Facebook and make sure that everything is working as it should, and then we'll get started. So thank you for jumping on and joining me for this exciting webinar. And I hope you guys, as you saw the advertisement and you saw the post on social media, I hope you came equipped tonight to bring your questions. Okay, so tonight isn't so much about me, but it's about you, and I want to know more of what your experience has been, using Facebook ads. So if you're out there, you're utilizing Facebook ads, as part of your marketing strategy, I definitely want to know how it's working for you. Okay, so are things going well? If it's not going well, where do you think are some of the areas that you could use improvement? So if you're watching and you actually registered for the webinar, okay, there is a chat section below the video. Okay, so please go ahead and post inside the chat section. Let me know that you're here, that you could see me, you could hear me, and as we go through tonight's content, if you have questions, make sure you post your questions, and also post your questions in the comment section, and I'll be able to see your questions and feed the questions as well. Okay, so I'm just checking to make sure that everything is working as it should. And then we are going to jump right in. So like I said, I have this going from a couple of different places. So I just want to make sure that everything is working the way it should. Okay, great. And I see that the feed is live on YouTube. So if you're watching through YouTube, this is actually the first time I'm actually doing a public video. I do videos on YouTube, all the time, but I usually kind of keep them unlisted. So I'm streaming through YouTube this evening. So normally I usually share through Facebook, but tonight I have decided to give my YouTube audience some love, and I'm just checking to make sure that I could see if anyone is out there, and if you have any questions, to make sure that you are asking your questions in the comment section. Okay, alrighty, and we are going to go ahead and jump right in, and we're gonna get started. So bear with me one moment as I open up my PowerPoint here. Okay, great. So tonight, like I mentioned, we are talking about Facebook ads. Okay, and how to optimize your targeting with your Facebook ads. Now, the reason why I'm doing a webinar on this subject matter is because I found that this is one of the easiest things to overlook as it comes to doing your Facebook ads, how to really hone in on your target audience and to position your ads in front of the right people. Now, here's what happens. Once you have your ads and you're running ads and you're not really clear on who your target audience is and you're positioning your ads in front of the wrong people, it results in a higher ad spend. And I know if you guys are out there and you're watching and maybe you have ran ads before in the past, okay, and you've probably noticed, like over the past year, probably 2 years, that the cost of Facebook ads are like going up and up. Okay, so more people are now turning to Facebook's advertising platform. No question why, because it's absolutely amazing the things that you could do with it. But the result of all the competition, and we're all vying for the attention, of Facebook users, that is resulting in a higher ad spend. So it becomes very imperative for you to really know, like when you're setting up your ad campaign, how to create, like I said, the perfect ads, how to position your ads in front of the right audience so you could maximize on your ad spend, so you could realize the maximum ROI, return on investment, okay? So that's what we're here to talk about today. We're not going to go into all the specifics about creating an ad campaign on Facebook. There are a lot of components, a lot of moving parts and pieces to creating an ad campaign, but we're not going to cover all of them tonight. We're just going to talk specifically about optimizing your targeting. So with your time with me this evening, it's going to be probably about 45 minutes or so, okay? So 45 minutes, and I'm going to leave the floor open at the end if you have any comments or any questions regards to your experience using Facebook advertising or anything that you may have heard me cover on the webinar this evening that you would like me to go into a little bit more in detail. So be prepared to spend about 45 minutes with me this evening. I hope that you have your pen and you have your notepad, because this is a great way, for you to take notes, okay? So on this training tonight, we're going to talk about how to understand the demographic composition of your audience. And what do I mean by that? I know that was a whole mouthful, right? Understanding the demographic composition of your audience. What exactly does that mean? Well, it means knowing exactly who your ideal clients are. So once you get into Facebook advertising, or I should say before you get into Facebook's advertising platform, before you even, go into your ads manager or go into your power editor, you should have, a knowledge and an understanding of who your ad campaign is for. So I talk a lot about identifying who your ideal client is and building out your persona. So if you registered for the webinar, you should have received an email, and inside that email, you would have received your Facebook ads targeting worksheet, okay? So I hope that you have the ability to download your worksheet and use it, okay? That's the best way I could say it. Download the worksheet and put it to good use, okay? So in the beginning of the worksheet, one of the things that I did for you, I asked a few questions. Hopefully you'll be able to answer those questions. And those questions are designed to help you identify your buyer persona. Now, why did I start there? Why didn't I jump in just like how everybody else would tell you, oh, your demographics, you need to know the age, you need to know what city they live in, you need to know what sex they are. No, I started about asking questions about how you could better identify your ideal client and develop that buyer persona, because the more information that you have on your buyer persona, it makes it so much easier when you get into the ads manager, when you actually get into the power editor, to just plug that information in and build out your audiences, okay? So we're also going to talk a little bit about custom audiences, okay, and when to use them. Now, I get really excited when I talk about custom audiences, because custom audiences, they're like what's hot in Facebook advertising. So it's it's your warm audiences, people, your warm audiences or your hot audiences, people who have been exposed to your business or exposed to your brand in some shape, form, or fashion. So maybe they have visited your website, maybe they've even bought a product from you, maybe, you know, they follow your blogs, okay? Maybe they've attended an event that you hosted. You could definitely create ads that will go to custom audiences. And I love these types of audiences because, like I said, it's your warm traffic. So and I'll share a little bit about what you can do, you know, to start focusing and building up your custom audiences. And then also we're going to touch a little bit on how to maximize the profitability of your audiences. Okay, now what do I mean by maximizing the profitability of your audience? One of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of times with marketers as they get in and they do Facebook ads, they run what I call front end ads. Okay, so which means that they have, you know, something great on the front end that they're running ads to, but nothing on the back end. The back end isn't really set up. So I'll share with you just a little bit on this webinar on how or what the picture would look like to make sure that you have a complete campaign set up and how you can use Facebook ads to walk people all the way through your campaign. So you could get them from the attraction phase where they, you know, probably have never seen or heard of your business before, okay, all the way down to getting them to enroll in your high-end product or service, okay, if that's what you do, if you're a coach and you're a consultant and you're out here and you're watching, okay? So my promise to you this evening is that this is your opportunity to see some of the strategies that the top industry experts and myself are using to get the best return on investment on their ad spend. So if you are out there and you are watching this webinar and you're feeling overwhelmed because you are doing a lot of marketing and you aren't seeing any results. So I get this all the time. I'm out here on social media, I'm doing videos, I'm writing blogs, you know, I'm speaking, I'm doing all these things, but I'm not able to get the results that I want to see in my business. So if that's you and you want to know of a better way that you can do it, then definitely you want to stick around on this webinar because this webinar is for you. If you're out there and you're struggling to get in front of your ideal paying clients, your action-taking demographics, then definitely you want to stick around for this webinar as well, because I'll share with you some of the things that you could do to position yourself in front of more of your ideal clients, because that's what it's all about, okay? So maybe you're out there and you have kind of dibbled and dabbled in Facebook advertising before, and you haven't seen the results that you expected. So you've heard a lot of people talking about Facebook advertising and how wonderful it is, no doubt, okay? But you've got in there, you know, you've kind of tinked around with it. Maybe you've ran, you know, a campaign or two, and, you know, the results weren't exactly what you were expecting, and you want to know how you could get better results on that, then definitely you want to stick around for this webinar, okay? Or maybe you're watching tonight, you know, and like I had a young lady tell me this week that, no, I'm not utilizing Facebook advertising in my business right now, as of now, but it's a strategy that I will implement in my business for 2018, okay? So if you are preparing to run ads in your business and you are wondering, how do I start to run ads? What are some of the things that I need to know before I start my first advertising campaign on Facebook? Then definitely this webinar is for you. So tonight, once again, we're going to talk about 7 ways to optimize your target audience. So by the end of the webinar, you'll be able to take advantage of the advanced targeting options that Facebook has to offer. You'll be able to, number 2, zone in on your ideal clients. And number 3, you'll be able to generate new leads or even focus on nurturing existing prospects, okay? So who the heck am I? So I am Taria Hodge, and I am the owner of Mayaba Consulting Services, and I'm also the founder of Social Media Saturdays. And many of you probably know me from Social Media Saturdays because Social Media Saturdays is an online broadcast platform that shows entrepreneurs, business owners, and business leaders how to leverage the power of Facebook or leverage the power of social media in their business, okay? So we go live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. in our Facebook community, which is also called Social Media Saturdays. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check out Social Media Saturdays, our community on Facebook, make sure you take a minute to do that. You could always do that by searching Social Media Saturdays in Facebook, okay, and just knock on the door and I'll be able to let you into our community, okay? So every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do a live broadcast. So tonight is a little bit different because I'm broadcasting live through YouTube. So I'm showing my YouTube audience some love this evening. All right. So I am what you call a social media strategist. And what do I mean by a social media strategist? I love to show entrepreneurs, business owners, and business leaders how to use social media strategically. So social media is a little bit more than getting on there and posting a few pictures, posting a few memes, throwing up a few positive quotes, okay, and then keep it moving, right? No, you want to make sure that as you develop your marketing plan, you're incorporating social media as part of that marketing plan. And you want to make sure that the actions that you're taking on social media are very strategic. You want to make sure that they have an end result. You have a goal that you are trying to achieve. And one of the things that I always say is when you take a look at your social media plans, your plans for your social media should be in alignment with your overarching business goals, okay? So you should not have business goals that sit over here to the far left, and then you're over here in social media and you're doing, things that have no correlation to your business goals, okay? And then you get frustrated because then social media becomes another activity that you're doing because you don't understand or you don't know how to kind of fit everything together. So that's one of the ways that I help clients. I help them put together, social media strategy so we could effectively achieve those business goals, okay? And then last but definitely not least, I am the mother of 3 amazing kids, okay? So I have a son and I have 2 amazing daughters. My son is amazing too. He rocks, okay? And I'm such a proud mom. I'm very excited to be able to be on this journey and be able to spend time with my children. And I consider myself what you call a freedompreneur. And I'll share with you a little bit more about what I mean by that. But one of the things that I was absolutely focused on when I started my business back in 2010, that I would have the freedom. I would create a business that would allow me the freedom to spend time with my family. Okay, so like I mentioned, I started my business back in 2010. So it's been a journey of 7 wonderful years. Okay, and as a freedompreneur, I'll just share with you. I left corporate America kind of, frustrated because I know there was a better way to be able to do things. So I had a decent job at a top, Fortune 500 company, making decent money, but it seemed to me like I was working, all the time, putting in the 12, the 14-hour days. And at the end of the day, my children, my family were getting the worst of me. So in 2010, I just made a decision that had to stop, that something had to change. And so I heard about this wonderful thing called entrepreneurship, right? And this is this thing that you could do. You could become an entrepreneur and you could create a business that will give you all the time in the world, right? That's what people talk, that's what I heard about entrepreneurship. And I said, really, it sounds like that should be something that I should try. So back in 2010, I chucked the deuces. I left my corporate job, and I ventured out to become an entrepreneur. And like I said, 7 years, and what a journey it has been. So a lot of times people ask me, well, how exactly did you end up in the arena of social media? Well, funny story, but true story. So as a new entrepreneur, one of the things that people tell you that you is absolutely imperative that you must do, right? You must get out there and you must network. So I prided myself as being an expert networker. Man, I even used to network for some of my clients. And, I enjoy networking, and I even had a process while I networked. So part of my process after each networking event, I would come home and I would take a look at all the connections that I've made, the business cards, of the people that I've made. And I had a nice little template that I prepared, and I would sit at my computer and I would email everyone that I had the opportunity to meet at these networking events. Okay, so how cool was that? I had a process. Now, much to my dismay, what I found was that not everyone followed that same process. So, needless to say, people weren't responding to my emails. Can you imagine that? So I felt like I was doing that kind of chasing thing. But I started to notice something a little interesting. What was very interesting to me was that people were reaching out in a different way. They were reaching out via social media. So a lot of times, even before I got home, I would notice that I would have a friend request on Facebook, or someone would have sent me a connection on LinkedIn. Now, I have to say this, guys, let me just be totally transparent. When I first heard of Facebook and social media, I did not come running onto social media. I came onto social media kicking and screaming because I could not understand the need for people to know what other people were doing every minute of the day. To me, it just made no sense, right? So, but like I said, I came on kicking and screaming. A lot of my friends was like, oh my gosh, you got to get on Facebook. You got to get on Facebook. So I created a Facebook account, used my Facebook account very minimally. Okay, until I started to notice that when I networked, people were reaching out to me on social media. So I had to pay attention to this new form of connection, or at least it was new to me. So needless to say, I had some cleaning up to do, some housekeeping on social media. And what do I mean by that? So I had to kind of clean up my profile a little bit, kind of get rid of some friends, not get rid of them in real life, just in the social media world, okay? And let them know that, you know what, I'm a budding entrepreneur. So I have to be very careful about the content that people see on my social media sites. And the rest is history. I've been actually using social media to grow my business for the past 7 years. Now, I'll also like to share another story as far as using social media. So I've, dibbled and dabbled, a few years back in Facebook ads, and never really quite paid attention to Facebook advertising. So I would boost posts, for maybe $5 or $10, $20 at the most, until I had the opportunity to work on a marketing campaign. So on a team, was working with a particular team, and it said, hey, look, we have a marketing campaign, and we're going to ask everyone to invest $10, to boost a post, to promote this campaign. Okay. So I said, sure, what the heck, $10. I could go ahead and I could invest $10 in the marketing campaign. And what was very, very interesting to me was that ad spend got to $9.56 before I realized my first sale on that campaign. Okay. And needless to say, we were promoting a product that was well over $1,000. Okay. And let me say it again. I invested $9.56 to generate revenue of over $1,000. Now, if you're out there and you're listening, okay, how many of you would invest $10 to make $1,000? And I could just see the virtual hands going up. Okay, so that was what got me really interested and really curious about Facebook advertising. And needless to say, of course, you know, I put more money behind the campaign, and it has been one of the most lucrative campaigns that I've ran. And so I share that story to say this, that utilizing Facebook's advertising platform has definitely changed the trajectory of my business. And that's exactly why I teach it, you know, to other entrepreneurs as well, okay? Because definitely once you implement it as part of your strategy, it could definitely be a game changer in helping you to get to realize the revenue that you want to realize in your business. So tonight, like I mentioned before, we're going to talk about the 7 ways to optimize your targeting. So we're not going to get into, you know, all the other aspects of running an advertising campaign, but we're just going to simply talk about your targeting. Okay, and then why am I talking about targeting is because I talk about this, and I decided to do a separate webinar on just targeting, because I find that if you don't get your targeting right, if you don't position your ads, you know, in front of the right people at the right time, then it will result in huge loss of money. And like I said, as you probably notice, if you're running ads, the ads are kind of getting a little bit more and more expensive because of competition. So it's imperative that you get really, really clear on your target audience. Okay, so step number 1, take advantage of the advanced targeting options that Facebook has to offer. So Facebook does an awesome job of collecting information. So how many of you are out there and you're listening? Can you remember a few years back when in the United States we set a huge precedent, right? Same-sex marriage became legal in the US. So do any of you remember what Facebook did as that precedent was being set? Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that Facebook did was said, hey, you know, if you are in support of this, please change the color of your profile picture to the rainbow. Okay, and you would see that people all over the world who were on Facebook platform change their profile picture to depict the rainbow. Okay, so what do you think that Facebook was doing? Facebook was actually capturing that data. I like to say that Facebook is very nosy, okay? So one of the things that Facebook kept asking me, are you married or are you single? Are you married or are you single? Or are you in a complicated relationship? Now, I always wonder about the people who click the button for complicated, right? Should never click that button. Nothing in life should ever be complicated, okay? So I was just like, okay, Facebook, when I get a boo, I'll let you know. But it's a little touchy for me because I don't have a boo, okay? So quit asking. But one of the things that I realized is that all of this information, as Facebook asks these questions and they do these polls, Facebook stores that information, okay? And it allows for entrepreneurs, business owners, marketers like ourselves to go right into their advertising platform and tap into that information, okay? So Facebook has a ton of awesome and unique targeting options that you won't find on any other platform. So make sure that you are taking advantage of those targeting options. Step number 2, you want to make sure that you zone in on your ideal audience with interest targeting. So why am I talking about interest targeting? So I think we all know about the obvious targeting demographics, such as the age demographic, the location demographic, the sex demographic. Facebook allows you to get really specific in targeting your audience. I've even seen in Ads Manager where you could target people using a specific cell phone. How cool is that? So if you have an app that for your business and your app is on, say, iPhones and it's on a specific iPhone platform, you could go right into Facebook and say, hey, Facebook, I want you to find me users who are utilizing, iPhone 6 and position my ads, to them. So make sure that you are taking advantage of, number one, that you get really clear on your buyer persona. And like I mentioned before, once you have all the details of your buyer persona, you could go right in and you could plug that information into Facebook, okay? And once again, like I said, you could get very specific. You could target your audience by things by income, how much they're making, whether they're single parents or that they have family, how many kids they have in the home. Pretty cool stuff that you can do. Step number 3, you could also use Facebook's targeting options to find new prospects, or you can use Facebook advertising platform to nurture your old prospects, okay? So one of the obvious things that people do is when they run their advertising campaigns, they run ads to a cold audience. So that's the most popular type of audience, which is a saved audience, where you go in and you plug in, once again, those demographics, and you plug in those interests. Okay, but what people don't realize is that those are cold people. Those people, they don't have a connection with you, and you're attracting them to your business. But what about focusing on people who have already connected with you? So maybe, you have, people who have visited your website, before, and you want to run a specific campaign to re-engage them. You could do that, okay? Or you could have a mailing list of people, and you will say, well, I need to shake up my email list. You could definitely run ads to people on your mailing list to kind of rejuvenate your mailing list, okay? So you have a couple of options here, and it's very important for you to know before you run your ads, what is the goal of your ad? Are you using this ad to attract new people, or are you nurturing people who have already been in contact with you? Maybe they, once again, visited your website, or perhaps they have bought a product or a service from you before, and you want to re-engage them again, okay? So pretty cool stuff. Step number 4, keep an eye on your audience meter. Okay, so this is also another huge area of opportunity for you if you're running ads, to make sure when you are sharing your ads that you keep an eye on the size of your audience. Now, why is the size of your audience important? The size of your audience is important because it's directly correlated to the money that you're spending on Facebook. Okay, so if you have a larger budget, then you're able to open up your ads to a larger audience. If you're working with a smaller budget, it becomes very crucial for you to be very targeted, in your audience selection. Okay, so when you create your audience, make sure that you're not targeting too many people, or you're not targeting too few of the people, okay? So the best way for me to say this, if you are working with a budget of, say, $500 for an advertising campaign, you want to make sure that your audience, isn't too small, because if you are working with a high budget and your audience is kind of small, what's going to happen? You're kind of going to oversaturate that audience with your ads. And when I say oversaturate, that means that they're going to see your ads over and over again, and your ads are going to lose its effectiveness. So you always want to make sure that you keep an eye on your audience. I've seen people create audiences like up to like 5 million. You don't necessarily want to do that either, because once again, an audience that large says pretty much you're not really clear, on who you're targeting, and you're just kind of throwing darts at the wall and hoping that it would stick. Now, like I said, maybe 3-4 years ago, that strategy, you could have kind of gotten away with it, but in today's market, definitely not, because it's becoming more and more expensive to run ads. So step number 5, you want to make sure that you are narrowing your audience with more categories, okay? So one of the things in working with clients, I really realized that people don't know that there are things that you could do to get more specific in your targeting. And I'm just going to share with you one of the things that I pay attention to when I run my ads. Okay, so there's an exclusion button. Okay, so as you define your audience, you could also exclude, or you could also narrow, okay, or you could become very selective with people in your audience. So after you have selected your normal demographics, which would be your location, your age, your sex, things like that, and then you put in your interests, okay, you could start to exclude certain people, from that audience as well. Okay, so also take a look at that by using the more categories section. It allows you to definitely get more detailed and more targeted. Step number 6. How about targeting people who live in your local area? So maybe you're hosting a live event, okay? And you want to be able to attract more people to your live event. You could definitely utilize Facebook advertising to target people who would be interested in your event, and you could target people once again by zip code. You could target them by city, and even getting very specific by excluding certain people in certain areas as well. Okay, so make sure that you are utilizing the location option for your targeting. And when I say location, sometimes people just take a look at the US, or they take a look at other countries, but they really don't get specific in going all the way down to sometimes the cities or sometimes the zip codes. Okay, so make sure that you are paying attention to that as well. And step number 7, this is the one that I absolutely love, and I talk about this all the time because it goes back to talking about building up those custom audiences. You could upload your mailing list to Facebook. So I love this. I love this. I love this. And you might be sitting there watching this webinar tonight, scratching your head, talking about, well, why would I want to upload my mailing list to Facebook? Okay, you definitely want to make sure that you create a custom audience using your mailing list, because once again, these people are your warm audience, or they could be your hot audience. Okay, depend on what segment of your list you are uploading into Facebook. Now, this would allow you, when you position ads to that specific type of audience, you know exactly what you're showing them. And like I said, they have already been exposed to your business. They've already been exposed to your brand and what you have to offer. And maybe they might not be opening up your emails as frequently as you would like them to open up your emails. Okay, so re-engaging them on Facebook is another great way to capture their attention. Okay, so those were my 7 steps, or my 7 ways to optimizing your targeting. So finally, it's time for you to stop throwing darts in the dark when it comes to your Facebook ads and hoping for the best. So on tonight's webinar, I showed you how to take advantage of advanced targeting options in Facebook's advertising platform, how to zone in on your ideal clients, and how you could also generate new leads or focus on nurturing existing leads using your Facebook ads. So we're at a crossroads. So you actually do have a choice. You could continue to do things the old way by throwing darts in the dark and hoping for the best, or you could allow me to help you. And here's how I can help. Now, before I share with you how I'll be able to help you, this is not for everyone. So if you're out there and you're hearing all the wonderful things about Facebook advertising, and you're thinking that this is just another great way for you to come in and make some money really quick, and then exit stage left, I'm just going to say this is not for you. Okay, I'm actually looking for the business owners, the entrepreneurs, the coaches, the consultants, who are ready, to build their business using Facebook advertising. How to use Facebook to identify and get your products and your services in front of more of your ideal clients. And I say this all the time, Facebook has almost 2 billion users. So if you're out there and you're thinking that you can't possibly, find clients on Facebook or grow your business with Facebook, I'm here to challenge you to think again. But I'm going to say this, it does take work. So this is not like an overnight solution. I'm not here to promise anyone that you're going to run one ad and then all of a sudden you're going to become a millionaire. So if that's what you're thinking, I'm going to say right off the bat, this is not for you. But if you are seriously thinking about implementing and wanted to know how to put the specific strategies into place to help you grow your business and use Facebook to find more of your ideal clients, then I'm going to say that this is for you. So right now I'm giving you the opportunity to join my 2-hour training. And like I said, I decided to do this particular training because I realized that this is one of the areas of great opportunities that so many people who are running ads, they kind of overlook. So I kind of segmented this section out. So I'm offering a 2-hour training on how to build the perfect audience for your Facebook ads, okay? So you could definitely grow your coaching and consulting business by using Facebook advertising. So here's what you'll get on the training. You'll have the opportunity to work with me, like I mentioned, for 2 hours, okay? And understanding the demographic composition of your audience. I'll talk a little bit more about what a custom audience is, and we'll even get into lookalike audiences, what they are, the benefit of using them, and how do you actually create them in your ads manager. And then finally, we'll share how you can maximize the profitability of your audiences. And I love to talk about this because this is what it means to actually take someone through your sales cycle or take someone through your sales campaign. So as they first meet you on Facebook, okay, how do you step them through every step of the process to engaging them in becoming a client? One of the things I talk about a lot of times as the business owner, we are very aware of what our process is. We focus on our process, but very rarely do we stop to think about what the process is for our audience. Where are they in our process? And what can we do better to help them along in that process, okay? So definitely we'll talk a little bit more about that on the training class. So each session, it's a 2-hour training, and I'm going to break it down, into 2 parts, okay? So 2 50-minute sessions. And each session will include a presentation. You would have the opportunity to have Q&A, and I do offer an assignment at the end of each session to hold you accountable. So once again, this is a working session. So it's not something where you're just going to come on the training and just kind of sit and say, oh, that was good. No, you're actually going to have action steps, things that you can do right now today, you know, to help you get moving with your Facebook ads. So like I mentioned before, if you are running ads and you're not seeing the results that you would like to see, then definitely you want to partake in the training. Or if you are getting prepared to run ads and you want to have a little bit more information about some of the things that you can do, you should be doing before you run your first advertising campaign, then definitely this training is for you. Now, you could take advantage of registering for the training by going to meetyourrevenuecoach.com. And if you allow me to, I would actually bring up the page for you. So just bear with me one moment and I will bring it up on the screen. Okay, and let me just adjust it. One moment here and you will be able to see it. Okay, so how to build the perfect audience for your Facebook ads. So once again, time to stop throwing darts in the dark. Okay, and on this training, like I mentioned, we're going to cover the basics of Facebook advertising, how to define the perfect audience size for your campaign, 2 secret tools that are right there in Facebook that would allow you to identify your target audience. And I call them secret tools because hardly, you know, anyone uses them. Okay, so it's right there, but people just kind of overlook it. So I'm going to share those with you as well on the training. And like I mentioned, what are custom audiences and what you can do to build them fast. Okay, now normally this training is valued at $197, but I am offering the opportunity for you to join the training for only $97. Okay, so you could actually get in on the training for $97. Okay, so normally it's valued at $197 for the 2 hours. Okay, but $197 definitely. And I do have an option of 3 days that you could join, 3 dates that you could join. Okay, so if you would like to access more information, you could simply go to www.meetyourrevenuecoach.com. Once again, that's www.meetyourrevenuecoach.com. Now, also, if you are out there and you're watching and you're thinking, this is great, but I'm really not sure if this is for me, and you would love to have a conversation about it, I'm also going to extend the opportunity for you to receive a 30-minute complimentary discovery session with me as well. Okay, so once again, if you're out there and you're watching and you're not too sure, okay, if you know the training would be a great fit for you and you have more questions, definitely you're welcome to take advantage of a 30-minute discovery session. And you could take advantage of that discovery session by actually going to www.meetwithtaria.com. So once again, that's www.meet with WITH, Taria, TURIYA.com. And I would definitely love to have a conversation with you and find out where you are as far as your marketing plans go. So I am going to hop on over to take a look and see if we have any questions on the webinar. Okay, and let me just make sure that I'm checking in all places. And guys, if you're out there and you're watching and you do have questions, don't be shy. Make sure that you ask your questions. If you're watching on the webinar live, you could directly in the webinar platform. I'm actually checking on YouTube to make sure, because I'm streaming live, to make sure that we don't have any questions on YouTube. And I'm also checking in our group to make sure that there are no questions, because I don't want to leave anyone with unanswered questions this evening. Okay, so just bear with me. Okay, alrighty, so it seems like there's no questions out there. At least if I missed them, I'm definitely going to circle back and answer online. If they're out there and I don't see them, I definitely will address them. Okay. And so once for joining, and if you would like to have access to the training, once again, you could simply go to www.meetyourrevenuecoach.com, and I hope to see you on the training. Thank you. Bye-bye.